I am 78 years old, and I am going to tell you the biggest lie we were ever told. Life doesn't end at 60. That lie cost me the best years I almost threw away. When I turned 60, I sat at my kitchen table and I cried. Not because anything had happened, because I thought it was over. I thought my story was written and there were only blank pages left. I want to tell you tonight that I was wrong about all of it. Getting older is not a sunset. It is a different kind of daylight. I have lived 18 years past the day I thought my life ended, and they have been quieter and kinder and truer than the loud years before. So stay with me. I have something to give you before you sleep. 6 pillars. 6 things that hold up a quiet, happy life after 60. Your own rhythm. Your own people. Your own work. Memory without pain. Joy in the small things. A plan for tomorrow morning. That is all of it. That is what I learned the slow way. Let me start where the lie started, at my own kitchen table. I married a good man named Walter when I was young and sure of everything. We raised 3 children in a house that was always too small and too loud. I stood behind the same counter at the bank for 31 years. I counted other people's money, and I saved my own living for later. Later, I kept saying, when the children are grown, when there is time. Then one spring the children were grown and gone, all 3 of them. The house went quiet the way a clock stops all at once. I met 60 in that silence, and I decided my useful years were behind me. A few years after that, Walter's heart gave out on an ordinary Tuesday, and I was alone in a house built for 5 at an age I had been taught to fear. So I did what I thought old women were supposed to do. I got small. I got quiet. I started waiting to disappear. I wore gray so no one would look at me, and no one did. I stopped buying flowers because who on earth were they for? I let the good plates hide in the cabinet, and I ate my supper over the sink. I told my daughter I was fine every Sunday, and every Sunday I was lying. I thought 60 was a door closing. I did not know it was only a door. For almost 2 years I mourned a woman who was still alive. Me. I want those 2 years back. I cannot have them. But you can keep yours, because somewhere in the 3rd year, something small cracked the gray open. It was a Wednesday in October, and I had run clean out of coffee. I walked to the corner store because I could not bear the empty kitchen. An old man at the counter, older than me, was buying a single peach. He held it up to the window light like it was made of gold. He said, "This is the best part of my whole day, feeling this." And he smiled at a piece of fruit as if the world had just been invented. I went home and looked at my 2 hands, and I started to cry again. But it was a different kind of crying. It was the kind that washes a window. I thought, if that man can love a peach at his age, what is wrong with me? Nothing was wrong with me. I had only believed a lie for far too long. That peach was the beginning. Everything I am about to tell you grew from it. So here is what I built, slowly, plank by plank, over 18 years. 6 pillars, not rules, not a program, just the things that held me up. I am not a doctor, and I never was. I am only a woman who paid attention. I cannot tell you how to live longer. I can tell you how to live wider. Take what fits your life and leave the rest right there on the table. Let me give you the first pillar. It is the one everything else stands on. The first pillar is your own rhythm. For 60 years, I lived by everyone else's clock but my own. The alarm for the children, the bell at the bank, supper at 6 for Walter. My whole life was cut into pieces by other people's needs, and I called it love. When they were all gone, that clock kept ringing with nothing left to answer it. That is what frightened me most at first, the empty hours with no shape to them. Then one morning I did something I had never done in my whole life. I stayed in bed until the light came all the way across the floor. I drank my coffee slow, both hands round the cup, and I watched the birds. No one needed me at 7. No one needed me at 8. And the sky did not fall. I learned that my body has a rhythm it had been begging me to hear. I am clear and awake in the early morning, and soft and useless by 9 at night. So now I do my real thinking early, and I let the evenings be slow and dim. I eat when I am hungry, not because a clock says a meal is due. I nap in the afternoon like it is a holy thing, because it is mine. Your own rhythm means you stop asking permission to live at your own speed. The world spent decades telling you to hurry. You do not have to hurry now. That is not laziness. That is a woman finally keeping time with herself. Find the hour you feel most like yourself and give it to something you love. When I found my rhythm, the empty hours stopped being empty. They became mine. The second pillar is your own people. For most of my life, I kept everyone. That was the rule I was raised on. You kept the cousin who only ever called when he wanted money. You kept the neighbor who counted your faults like coins on a table. You kept the friend who made you smaller every time you left her kitchen. I thought loyalty meant never letting go of a hand, even one that pinched. After 60, I did not have the strength left to hold hands that hurt. So without quite deciding to, I began to let some of them slip away. And the strangest thing happened. My life did not get lonelier, it got warmer. Because when you stop watering the weeds, the flowers finally get the sun. I have 4 people now. 4. That is my whole garden, and it is plenty. My daughter, who calls on Sundays. A neighbor named Rosa, who brings me soup. A friend of 50 years who knew Walter. And a young woman from the church. These 4 know the real me, the tired me, the silly me at the sink. I would rather have 4 who see me than 40 who only see my roof. Your own people are the ones you can be quiet with and never feel alone. Count the names that make you lighter. Those are your people. Keep them close. And the ones who make you heavy, you are allowed to love them from far away. It took me 60 years to learn that a small table can be a full one. Now my table seats 4, and I have never in my life felt more surrounded. The third pillar is your own work, not a job. I gave the bank 31 years, and it gave me a small pension. I mean work that is yours, that no one pays you for and no one can take. When I retired, everyone said, "Now you can finally rest, rest and rest and rest." But a person cannot live on rest alone. any more than she can live on bread alone. We are built to make something, to be needed by something, right to the very end. For a while I had nothing to make, and my hands forgot what they were for. Then Rose's granddaughter could not read well, and I offered to help her. Every Thursday that child sat at my table, and we sounded out the hard words. The day she read a whole page by herself, she clapped, and so did I. I was needed again, not for my roof or my money, for me and for my patience. That was my work. Yours might be a garden, a needle, a paintbrush, a phone. It might be the porch where the children in the street know they can come. It does not have to be grand. It has to be yours, and it has to be for someone. Work gives the day a spine. Without it, the hours run together like spilled water. I plant more tomatoes than I could ever need, and I give them away in August. I mend clothes that are not mine, because my hands are happy when they are busy. Find the thing that makes you forget the clock. That is your work now. A woman with work in the morning has a reason to wake up, and that is everything. I thought my working years ended at 60. They had only changed their name. The fourth pillar is memory without pain. This is the hardest one, so let me just sit with it a moment. When you reach my age, you carry a great many yesterdays in your pockets. Some of them are heavy. A hard word to a child. A friend you never called back. The last morning with Walter, when I was cross about the toast of all the things. For years, those memories came at night like bills I could never pay. I would lie awake and rewrite conversations that had ended 20 years ago. Then a wise woman at the church told me one plain thing that changed everything. She said, "You cannot mend the past, but you can stop punishing yourself in the present." The past is not a debt you owe. It is a place you have already left. So I learned to remember Walter without climbing down into the grave beside him. I let the good mornings come back, his terrible singing, his cold feet in the bed. And on the toast morning, I say, I was tired, and I forgive her, that younger me. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is you setting down a heavy bag. I forgave my mother, 30 years gone and unable to hear it. It still helped me. Memory without pain does not mean forgetting. It means remembering with soft hands. Take out the good ones and hold them. Let the sharp ones lie down and rest. You did the best you knew with what you had at the time, and so did they. I still cry sometimes, but now the tears water something instead of drowning it. My yesterdays used to hurt me. Now, most days, they simply keep me company. The fifth pillar is joy in the small things. Remember the old man and his peach? He has been my teacher ever since that day. When you are young, you save joy for the big days, the weddings, the far trips. You think happiness is something that arrives, all dressed up, once or twice a year. But the big days are few, and the small mornings are very nearly all of it. So I taught myself to find one good thing in every single day, on purpose. The first sip of coffee while it is still a little too hot to drink. The particular way the light comes through the yellow curtain at 4. A clean sheet, a found button, a letter in a real envelope with my name on it, the smell of rain starting on a warm road, my cat asleep in a square of sun. None of these cost a dime, and all of them were there my whole life unnoticed. I was too busy chasing the big joy to feel the small joy right under my feet. Now I collect small joys the way I once collected worries, on purpose, every day. Try it tomorrow. Catch one small good thing and say out loud, "Well, that is lovely." It feels foolish the first week. By the second week, it feels a lot like breathing. A day with one noticed joy in it is not a wasted day. It simply cannot be. And most days now have 3 or 4, because once you look, they are everywhere. The peach was never really about the peach. It was about the looking. Happiness is not a place you arrive at. It is a habit of noticing. That is all. I am 78, and I am happier over a cup of tea than I was at 40 over gold. The 6th pillar is a plan for tomorrow morning. This is the small secret that holds up all the others, so I saved it for last. The night my whole life started to turn, I did one plain thing before bed. I set out a clean cup and a spoon on the counter, ready for the morning. And for the first time in 2 years, I had a reason to want the morning to come. A tiny reason, a cup waiting on the counter, but it pulled me into the next day. Despair is what happens when tomorrow has nothing in it you want to reach for. So I make sure tomorrow always has something in it, however small that something is. Some evenings the plan is only that I will finish a good book in my chair. Other nights it is that Rosa is coming, or the child is coming to read to me. Some evenings it is only that the bakery has its fresh bread on Fridays. It does not matter one bit how small the thing is. It matters that it is there. A person with a plan for the morning does not lie awake afraid of the dark. Every night before I sleep, I name one thing I am looking forward to, out loud, to the quiet house. Tomorrow I will do this, and then I can sleep. It is the cheapest comfort there is, and it costs nothing but a moment before bed. Give tomorrow a shape tonight, even if the shape is only a warm cup and a window. That is the 6th pillar, and it is the one that gets me out of bed at 78. Those are the 6. Your rhythm, your people, your work. Memory without pain, joy in the small things, and a plan for the morning. None of them are grand. All of them are yours for the taking, starting tonight. Now let me come down off the porch and into the kitchen with you. Because pillars are fine words, but a life is lived in small Tuesday afternoons. Let me show you how these 6 things look when the telephone is in your hand. Take my daughter Ellen. For years, our Sunday calls were a list of complaints. The weather, my knees, her busy week. We traded small miseries and hung up tired. One Sunday, I decided to carry a small joy to the call instead of a wound. I told her about the yellow curtain and the reading child and the morning birds. There was a silence. Then she said, "Mom, you sound like yourself again." Now she calls twice a week, sometimes only to hear what I noticed that day. Nothing changed but what I chose to carry to the phone. That was the whole repair. If your children have drifted, do not open with the drift. Open with a small light. Say, "I saw something today that made me think of you," and watch what that does. There was a friend, Marjorie, and we had not spoken in 11 long years. Something small had grown large, the way small things do between two proud women. I could not even remember the shape of the first wound anymore, only the silence. Leaning on the fourth pillar, I decided the memory was too heavy to keep carrying. I did not write to win. I sent a short card. Just, "I miss you." That was all of it. 3 lines and a stamp. My hand shook putting it in the box on the corner. She called the day it arrived, and we both cried into the telephone like girls. 11 years, undone by a card that cost me 1 stamp and a little of my pride. If a silence in your life has gone on too long, be the first one to break it. You are running out of afternoons to waste on being right. So am I. So is she. Last winter, I finally opened the box of Walter's letters in the hall closet. I had been afraid of that box for years. I thought it would knock me flat. Instead, I sat on the floor in my nightgown and read them until the lamp went dim. He was so young in those letters and so sure we would have a wonderful life. And you know what? We did. It was hard and it was plain, but it was wonderful. I had been so busy grieving the end that I forgot to be grateful for the middle. That box did not knock me down. It stood me up. It handed the man back to me. If you have a box you are afraid of, open it on a quiet day with a cup of tea. The past cannot hurt you more than avoiding it already does. Go on and look. I told you I used to eat over the sink and keep the good plates hidden away. Now I set the good plate for myself on an ordinary Wednesday for no reason at all. I light a candle for a supper of soup and toast because I am company worth setting for. Do not save your good things for a someday that keeps on not coming. Use the perfume, wear the blue dress, open the wine. You are the special occasion. I learned that lesson far too late. And you do not have to. For years I believed that after 60 a woman just turns invisible in the world. And it is a little true. The young glance right through you at the market. But I found that if I speak first, the invisibility breaks like a soap bubble. I tell the tired girl at the register I like her earrings. I ask the driver about his day. I have made small friends all over this town by simply being the one who speaks. You are only invisible if you agree to be. I stopped agreeing at 64. People ask if I have regrets, and I do, but not the ones you would think. If I could sit across from my 40-year-old self, I would not talk about money. I would take her 2 busy hands and say, "Slow down. You are missing your own life." I would say, "The children will leave, and that is not a tragedy. It is the plan." I would tell her to love that tired man now, because Tuesdays run out faster than you think. And I would beg her, do not wait for a someday that never quite arrives. Then I would tell her the very thing I most want to tell you tonight. It is never too late to begin. Not at 40, not at 60, not at 78. Whatever age you are hearing this, you have more life in you than you are spending. That is the bridge from my porch to wherever it is you are sitting right now. I want to be plain with you so you do not think I am selling you a dream. Some days are still gray. I have mornings when the silence sits on my chest. The difference is that now I know the gray is only weather, not the whole sky. On a hard morning, I do one small thing from the 6, and the day tilts back. I make the coffee. I name one joy. I call one person. The gray thins right out. You do not have to feel happy to begin. You only have to do the next small thing. Happiness, I have found, slips in the side door while you are busy living. Let me tell you why these 6 pillars work, because it is not magic at all. It is the way we are made. A person needs a rhythm, a few good hands, a task. We need to make peace with where we have been and something to reach for tomorrow. Those needs do not retire when you do. They do not turn 60 and quietly quit. If anything, they grow louder in the quiet once the noise of the busy years fades. The young think happiness is getting more. At my age, you learn it is needing less. When you were 40, life was addition, more house, more money, more doing. After 60, the good life turns to subtraction. And subtraction is lighter to carry. You put down the weeds, the grudges, the hurry, the good plates saved for no one. And what is left, when the extra is gone, is the part that was always the point. Time itself changes too. When you have less of it, each cup of it tastes stronger. That is not a sad thing. A short song can be the most beautiful one you ever hear. So no, 60 is not the end of the music. It is when you finally learn to listen. I went back to that corner store last week, an old woman buying her coffee. The man with the peach is gone now. The clerk told me he passed in the spring. I stood there in the aisle and I thanked him in my heart, a stranger I met once, because a man I did not know handed me the rest of my life over a piece of fruit. He did not lecture me. He simply loved something small in front of me, out loud. So I bought a peach, and I ate it on the walk home in the plain afternoon sun. And I thought, this is the best part of my whole day, feeling this, just as he said. That is how the lie finally died. Not with a speech, with a peach in the sun. So here is what I am asking you to do tonight, before you sleep. Just one thing. Name one small joy you are looking forward to in the morning. Say it out loud. And set something out for it, a cup, a book, a small thing you can reach toward. That is the whole beginning. That is Pillar 1 and Pillar 6, holding hands. Then tomorrow, do one more. Call the person. Open the box. Set the good plate. You do not build a life back in a night. You build it back one morning at a time. And if you are sitting in the gray tonight, I want you to hear this part clearly. You are not too old, and it is not too late, and you are not finished yet. Life does not end at 60, my dear. I have 18 years of proof in this chair. It does not end at 70 or 80. It ends when you stop reaching for the morning. And you, whoever you are, wherever you are still reaching. You are here. You found this, and you listened this long, and that is a hand already lifting. Getting older is not the light going out. It is the light changing its color. It gets softer and warmer, And if you are patient, it turns to gold near the end. I promise you, there is a quiet happiness waiting on the far side of that lie. I found it at 78, in a small house with 4 good people and a reason to wake up. And if a gray, frightened woman like me could find it, so can you. I am sure of it. This is the last talk of our season together, and I did not want to leave you empty. So I made this one a doorway. If you are new here tonight, then welcome, honey. Everything I know is in these videos, waiting for you like letters in a box. And the very first one, where this whole journey began, is the one to watch next. It is the story of the first thing I stopped caring about after 60. Start there. Go back to the beginning with me, and we will walk the whole road again together. Subscribe so this quiet, kind voice can find you again on a night you need it. Light a small lamp for someone else. Send this to a woman who thinks she is finished. Tell her an old woman said her life is not over. Tell her it is only beginning. I will be right here, in this chair, by this window, for you to come back to. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. Sleep well, and plan one small thing for the morning. And when the light comes